Shalom, Kal Halal, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Bahashim Makakwadash, double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops of GMS, including the elders that came before them that taught us this truth. And shalom and salutations to all the brothers I put in word and truth and in sincerity, the hopeful elect tabernacle of David. And shalom and salutations to all the Aqua out listening and learning. I'm the brother Yahshua back with the World War III Daily Update. Shalom and salutations to all those in attendance. All right, and just, one day at a time. Things are gearing up. All right, so we're just going to start right here at 2nd Ezra 16 and 17. Esdras is saying, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? Up here, he was given a horrible vision. He's looking at something crazy. Right? And he's trying to explain it. For strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow, his arrows that he shooteth are sharp. He's trying to give you, his synopsis of what he's seeing in this vision is crazy. In the language at the time, he's doing the best he can. And then he's like, oh, that shit's fucked up. He's like, woe is me. Who will deliver me in those days? Right? The beginning of sorrow. He's explaining what he's seeing up here. And he's like, damn, he's like, that shit is fucked up. Who's going to get me out of this? And then he tells you what he is seeing. The beginning of sorrows and great mournings. Right? Not good mourning, but bad mourning. Okay? Sorrows, mourning, lamentation, mourning, and woe. The beginning of famine and great death. Nobody, in the last few centuries, if you will, has experienced great death. I guess World War II was great death. Did I say centuries? 20th century. I meant decades. Okay, so here's the part. Here's the rub. The beginning of wars. Okay? World War III. This is actually the last war, but we're at the beginning of it. And the power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? And he gets more specific and goes into it, but this is the point. Okay? This is called the World War III Daily Update. And right here, the Bible is telling you that these wars are coming. All right? This is him seeing those wars, right? And he's telling you about these missiles, okay? The plagues, the arrows, right? The swords. He's explaining what he saw in that war, and he was like, that's jacked up, right? Anyway, let's let this guy tell you about some missiles. Canadian prepper 22 hours ago, alarming news. I'm actually scared. Russian ministers, new F-16 warning. Okay, and this thing is growing. All right, so anyway. And I might go to the Canadian prepper a lot, but what he's doing, he's putting the news out, okay? And what do? We take the news, no matter who's bringing it out, and we filter it through the scriptures. So that's the main point of this channel. It's not about who's on here or who I choose to reference, but whatever he's saying, if it's adding up with the scriptures, we're just telling the time here. We'll get that at the end. Here we go.
All right, so here we go. We got a prospective timeline for the escalation of events. I'm not talking about nuclear obscurity. I'm not talking about World War III hypotheticals. This is it. This is the final straw. The prospective timeline for the imminent escalation of this conflict is in autumn of 2023. Get a load of what Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov had to say. It's important to understand, if you're not familiar with this man, He is typically incredibly diplomatic, very measured and conservative in his statements, oftentimes far too circumspect for most people's liking, like many Russian diplomats typically are.
Now, and this is his opinion, but I like his opinion. I think he's informed. I think he plays the middle really well. But I think also he's being, what is the word? Realistic. He's being realistic about what he's saying. Okay. Whereas I see other people, you know, being patriotic. How about that? So take it away, Nate.
But this is what he had to say about the confirmation that Ukraine is going to be receiving F 16s in just a couple months. And what we've seen thus far in this conflict is that when the NATO countries agree to give Ukraine something, it's almost as if in the next 24 hours, suddenly it's there all of a sudden, which typically means that it was already there for some time. They were just waiting to execute, just like the cluster bombs that have apparently already been deployed.
And there you have Wars and Rumors of War, which is Tuesday, but a little plug there.
In certain parts of this war zone. So this is what Sergei Lavrov had to say. This was completely shocking to me for me to hear him say this and to make such a clear and cut red line in the way he did. We've heard Vladimir Putin talk about depleted uranium and how that's going to be treated like a nuclear issue, but not with the specificity of Lavrov's current statements. We also need to talk about these security guarantees. As I expected, this whole dialectic about whether or not Ukraine is going to get into NATO or not is just a red herring. It's a distraction. The real question is, what is the difference between security guarantees and admittance into NATO? And the real deal is not a damn thing. I'm going to tell you why. Get a load of this. This is what Lavrov had to say. We have repeatedly spoken out on this topic with respect to the delivery of F-16s, which are expected to come in autumn. They're saying that they're just starting to train Ukrainian pilots on F-16s while they've been training them already for some time. Anyways.
Now, what he's saying, he's going to get to the meat of the matter. All right, alarming news. F-16. What is so big about the F-16s? He's going to tell you right now. And what could it be? Could it be something that we talk about all the time, dealing with World War III? You bet.
Would even say that it has exhausted itself if the West did not take actions that again and again force us to point out the risks of a strategic nature that are generated by aggressive anti-Russian policy. Whenever they say strategic, they mean nuclear.
Uh-oh. Is that where this is going? What's so special about F-16s? And what's the problem? Okay. Here's how this thing escalates.
Minister said in an interview with a publication Lento answering a question about Russia's use of nuclear weapons. This is what he said. He recalled that the conditions for the use of nuclear weapons by Russia are clearly defined in the nuclear doctrine. At the same time, I would like to draw attention to the fact that the United States and its NATO satellites create the risk of a direct armed conflict with Russia, and this is fraught with catastrophic consequences. Now, here is where it gets interesting. He said, just one example of an extremely dangerous development is the U.S. plans to transfer F-16s jets to the Kiev regime. We have
Why is it so important about the F-16?
Formed the U.S. nuclear powers, Britain and France, that Russia cannot ignore the ability of these aircraft to carry nuclear weapons.
There it is. What are we talking about? What do the men of the Lord on the streets talk about and have been for decades? We talk about this place being overthrown, we'll say, by nuclear weapons. Okay? That's what's happening right now. You can act like you don't see what's going on here. But in the very end, It's about this war. It's about these nuclear weapons. And they're not going to put them away this time. They're going to use them. Okay? That's what this whole thing is about. Things are changing and they can't stop the change. What the change is out with the old, in with the new, right? It just so happens that, the missiles have to do with fire. Fire has to do with cleansing. The Most High has a plan, okay? There's something going on here, and it's a lot bigger than a couple of countries shooting bombs at each other, all right? So anyway, I'll let him say a little more, and we'll go ahead and close.
He added, "No assurances will help here." The minister explained that in the course of hostilities, the Russian military would not sort out whether each specific aircraft of the specified type is equipped for the delivery of nuclear weapons or not, meaning that they're going to have to interpret every single time these F-16s are up in the air that they are potentially carrying tactical nuclear weapons.
All right. Now, these tactical is going to move into short range and then long range and then ICBM. All right. That's what this whole thing is about. So, anyway, you can go and listen. I listen to the Canadian Prepper. All right. Now, clearly, he ain't talking about prepping, he's talking about the war and strategy and stuff. Okay. Well, you need the prepper. You need the prepper. This prepper's on here telling you about World War III. Okay? Not about who, it's about what he's saying. He didn't say go get some beans. He says that later, but right now, what is he doing? He's telling you what the news ain't telling you. Okay? And yeah, they're using him, right? He's pretty, stratified in what he's doing. He's making money, is what he's doing. And people, look at this. He does this every day. So anyway, let's get. What do we want to get on the way out? Well, and not only that. Let's get Revelation. Not only is World War III going to happen, but there's going to be a celestial war right here on Earth. Okay, and people don't understand that. People have turned Jesus Christ, or whatever, his name is Yahushua, first of all, in the Hebrew. But so that you understand, they have turned this Jesus Christ character into somebody who would never hurt a flea, when in actuality, he's coming back with guns ablazing. And when I say guns, I mean lasers. Okay? Blazing. To tear shit up. And it's crazy because nobody would ever believe that. And it's going down right now. As sure as they're over there killing people on the other side of the world. Let's see. Why am I in some? We'll go to Revelation. Slocky. 19. All right. There's another war that we can't wait to see either. It's going to be tight. All right. We're waiting for this. 19 to 19. Revelation 19 to 19. And I'll be quick about it. And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war. There's that word again. Right? The beginning of wars. Remember that? To make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. What do armies do? Well, the one you call Jesus has an army. Okay? That nobody can beat. Guess who's going to win this war? Okay? So, this war, right, is part of this. Woe is me, woe is me. 2nd Ezra 16 and 18. The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginnings of famine and great. This is one of those wars. And I saw the beast, right? NATO and the EU and the kings of the earth. Dutch king. Did I just do a video? I spoke on that Dutch. A brother put up a scathing lesson. The Dutch king says I'm sorry or whatever. All right. And the kings of the earth. I was going into what's the name? Charles. King Charles. Right? You believe the audacity of these Edomites? Why would you even here it is? Your kingdom is about to be completely dethroned, and now you're standing up to be the king. That's appropriate, though. All right, so, and I saw the beast, NATO and the EU, and the kings of the earth, and their armies, okay, gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse. All right, so this is World War III, that gathering. Stop fighting each other to fight against Yahweh Shai and the angels. That is going to be an awesome sight. Right? Lord willing, we are those men that survive all the way through and they're getting beamed up, right? So anyway, we'll end it right there. We're in the time of wars, great death and famine, and hey, it's going to start moving faster, so be prepared. We hope that the elect were edified, you brothers and sisters, with that shalom.